Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Larry Kudlow was just interviewed about the next rounds of stimulus, and I figure why don't we just react to it together? After all, Larry Kudlow is basically the mouthpiece of the White House, next to, I guess, Kayleigh McEnany, but Larry Kudlow is kind of the stimulus and economic mouthpiece of the White House. So let's buckle up and listen in to see what he has to say about stimulus and Joe Biden, if Joe Biden gets elected. All right, here we go.
Larry Kudlow is with us, Director of the National Economic Council at the White House. Larry, there are some negatives this morning. More than 1.1 million jobless claims. The Fed says the virus is hurting growth. Back to school and college is a bust for in-classroom learning. Parents are stuck at home. Why don't you give us an update on the status of the V-shaped recovery?
Well, okay, thanks, Stu. I'm not supposed to talk about unemployment till 9:30, but I'll just say this quickly. The 4-week moving average of those initial claims is still coming down. It's a volatile series. We've created over 9 million jobs. We, the economy, the American people.
I figured it out. So here's the thing. Unemployment claims came in higher than they did last week. Larry Kudlow comes out to tell us, hey, well, you know what? It's a volatile indicator. You know, it goes up and down, but it's trending down. You know, Larry Kudlow is literally probably the perfect example of the dad any bad misbehaving student would wish to have. Yeah, so what? He punched the teacher in the face. You know, things are volatile in high school, but at least, you know, he's trending in the right direction. Oh my gosh. Honestly, most of the time, I just feel like Larry is a little bit delusional with some of the things that he says, or at least disconnected. Delusional might be a little rough, but let's see what else he has to say.
In the last 3 months, and all the signals, I think, are for a strong V-shaped recovery. Incidentally, on the claims number, one more quickie, continuing claims, that is those who are actually on unemployment, fell by over 600,000. So I don't think it's a bad number at all.
But it's not, aside from the jobless number, it's not a vigorous, dynamic, flat-out, straight-up recovery, is it?
This is a great question because really Larry Kudlow and the White House, they seem to like to look at real estate. They look at the stock market to see how well things are doing. But the problem is people unemployed and people who are losing their jobs, people with small businesses who have little warehouses or storefronts, they don't show up in residential real estate data. They don't show up in the stock market. If they're not publicly listed, they don't exist. Besides, if it weren't for the big ones, the Apple, the Amazon, the Facebook, the Microsoft, the Google, and the other stocks, really the big tech companies pulling the stock market up, you took those companies out, you'd probably be looking at a pretty red stock market, just taking out those handful there. But let's see what else we've got going on here, because he's going to talk about stimulus in a bit. I bounced around a little bit, and I want to react to it together here. Let's go see what he says.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, from the pandemic, which was a bone crusher and a heartbreaker, you've got a whole series of indicators that are booming. I mean, they're just soaring. The housing sector, which is a leading indicator of the economy, housing permits up by 40%. They're way above the February level before the pandemic.
Just a clarification, when he says that housing permits are a leading indicator of the economy, he's saying that because when builders build houses and they take out new construction permits, it means they're optimistic about the next 2 years. But just because that is a leading indicator doesn't mean that it is a definitive indicator of how the entire economy is. All it says is home builders feel good about the next 2 years. That's it. Says nothing about the people struggling. Okay, here we go. Stimulus.
Any recovery.
Okay, fingers crossed. Well, do we need another virus aid package? We understand that the Democrats are thinking about putting it to the vote next week. Do we need more money pumped into the economy right now?
Well, look, we can add targeted, sensible help. We can do that. We cannot add $3.5 to $4 trillion more. Which was the Democratic wish list. That's not going to work at all. We'd like some extra money to help the schools. That's important. We'd like some extra money to help.
You know, we're going to pause for a second here. You know what's really important to keep in mind is he just said we want $3.5 to $4 trillion. That's what the Democrats want. That's what he said. That's not what they want, though. What he's doing is he's referring to the original offer. That's like somebody making an offer on a house for $300,000 that's listed for $4 million, and then the buyer comes up to $350,000, and the seller's going, yeah, well, I'm just not taking a $300,000 offer. Dude, we're offering you more money now. Stop referring to the original offer. The same thing is what's happening here with Democrats and Republicans. You've got Larry Kudlow and sometimes other Republicans saying, well, the Democrats want a $3.4 trillion wish list. Maybe even as much as $4 trillion. Let's just round up. You know what? They want $5 trillion. No, you can't argue like that. It's not logical to say that when Democrats have said they're willing to do a $2 trillion package. It's $1 trillion to $2 trillion. That's where the negotiation stands right now. All this other stuff is just hyperbole. It's just exaggerating to make a point, and it's misleading.
Care, COVID-related, directly related health care. We've offered to put up some more money to the post office, although I don't think they really need it. They got $10 billion in cash a few months ago. That's okay. I mean, our mantra is kids and jobs. Please don't forget, regarding fiscal stimulus, the president's brilliant idea to defer the payroll tax for quite some time. I think it will ultimately be forgiven if he is reelected.
No. Hold on a second. It is not a brilliant plan to defer payroll taxes when businesses are already saying, we're not interested in taking it because we have no idea if you're actually going to forgive the amounts. That's kind of literally like saying, hey, you know what? If you go break your leg right now, we might give you a stimulus check. How many people are actually thinking about breaking their leg? Not a lot. Like, well, can you give me a little bit of certainty that if I break my leg, I'll get a stimulus check? Nope. Well, then I don't even want to apply for it. That's what's happening. This whole payroll tax thing, the whole payroll tax holiday is a joke. It's fugazi. It's like magic.
Pledge. That's a wage increase for over 140 million working Americans who were heroes. They had the opportunity during the pandemic. We're going to reward them. We also are going to increase.
Look, I want to be respectful, but nobody's taking it. You're not rewarding them.
Assistance for those who are unemployed, right? It's a handsome package, a generous package, which will reduce the fear of disincentives to work. It's $300 from federal, maybe an extra $100 from the states.
Seriously? $300? 50% of what the prior boost was is a generous and handsome package? Oh, gosh. I'm telling you, Larry Kudlow is the guy you want to go fight on your behalf in the principal's office. He's a handsome man, he's trending in the right direction. Yeah, he punches teachers, but, we gotta look at the bright side. At least he's optimistic, I'll give him that, but this is just ridiculous.
They don't have to match. If they put money in, we'll help them anyway. These are things that are targeted, right? We're going to keep the eviction moratorium on, and we're going to keep...
You haven't done that! The eviction moratorium, the way the executive order reads, is that departments within the government will decide to maybe temporarily halt evictions if it helps prevent the spread of COVID. That's very different from an eviction ban.
Student loans deferral, interest-free. So, yeah, we're adding some on the tax cut side, some on the spending side. We do not need another $4 trillion.
Well, if they came to you and said, look, we got a deal here for another trillion. I'm just picking a number. Another trillion. Would you and the president turn it down?
I don't think so. It depends what's in. But Secretary Mnuchin has said several times. He said several.
I'm going to pause here really quickly. This is really good. Okay, so Larry Kudlow and the president are willing to do a deal. If a deal gets put together that's $1 trillion. They just signaled that to Democrats. Let that sink in for a second. They signaled to the Democrats, we'll do $1 trillion. We kind of already knew that though, right? But that is interesting because it goes to show that, okay, Democrats have come down the $2 trillion. Hey, can we get the Republicans up to 1.3? How about 1.5? Do I hear 1.8? Like somewhere that I think so is going to fade, but it at some point will also still be, yeah, okay, let's do it. This is interesting. Okay, so let's see what else we got.
The political angle to this, Larry.
Is good.
I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There's a political angle to this. We're 10 weeks to the election. I can't imagine a politician turning down a chunk of money chucked into the economy, chucked towards voters right before an election. I don't see how you could turn it down.
Well, again, through a combination of sensible, targeted spending increases and tax cuts, right? Tax cuts. Let's not forget that. In fact,
I mean, this is true. I mean, hey, you know what? If we can get unemployment boosts, if we can get more stimulus checks, which Treasury Secretary Mnuchin has said would be more targeted relief, all right. But it'd be nice to see some progress.
the president has talked about cutting the income tax in this second term. He's talked about cutting the capital gains tax. He's talked.
Look at the reporter's face. Wait, we got to see that again. That was hilarious. That's the second term. It's true. Larry, why are you talking about the second term? People are hurting now, not in January. Listen to this. Look at his face.
In this second term, he's talked about cutting the capital gains tax.
Yeah.
He's talking about making the corporations' immediate depreciation permanent, things like that. They're very powerful incentives.
He's not even listening
for the
anymore.
Economy. But just to throw another $4 trillion willy-nilly on a Democratic wish list,
Dude, Larry, what happened to your interview, dude? You literally you went from talking about actual things that mattered, like, yeah, okay, maybe we could do $1 trillion bill, to let's talk about the president's next term, to let's go back to a $4 trillion figure that nobody's asking for and slam that. This is why the coupon code for the courses below is Larry, because we got to discount Larry.
was rejected in the bipartisan package last March. Secretary Mnuchin has said if it's sensible and if it works and if it's targeted, yes, we would probably be favorable, but we don't have the details yet. And right now, the talks are rather stalled.
Yes. What do you make of the Democrat convention and Joe Biden and his calls for sharply higher taxes pretty much across the board?
Yeah.
What do you think happens to the economy and the recovery if any of those tax increases are imposed?
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Okay, I don't care whether you're a Keynesian, supply side, or whatever. You're coming out of a terrible pandemic contraction. Terrible. All right? Tragedies almost everywhere, and we're still climbing out. Now, would you, Stu Varney, suggest that we should be taking money from individual men and women who are working or want to go back to work? I mean, that's what a tax hike is. It's taking money. It's picking people's pockets. And, of course, the old mantra from the Democrats is, well, it's rich people. No, it's not. They're going to go across the board. Corporations, individuals, you name it, they will tax it. They'll never get the numbers they think from taxing successful earners. It never happens. So it's the middle class folks who are going to get the tax hike, as they always do. President Trump has a middle class payroll tax cut to increase wages. I mean, why would you? I don't care who you are, what's your philosophy. We're desperately trying to claw our way back. The numbers are good. The early numbers for the 3 months and so forth look good.
All right, I mean, this is actually an interesting argument, right? I mean, you're coming out of a pandemic, why raise taxes? And I did a complete breakdown of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's tax plans, and I will agree, and this isn't me taking sides, you know, and I think a lot of people on the right are going to be happy for me saying this, you know, but it's true. When you look at their tax plan, there are some things where if you invest and you make even $3,000 a year from investments, you lose some tax benefits, even if you're in the middle class, their version of the middle class. There's even a financial transactions tax. Yeah, there are more taxes across the board. Watch that video. It's a very good and thorough video, and it's very neutral, very unbiased. So this is actually a really good pitch by Larry here for Republicans, right? For keeping taxes low. So I get that. I do see the other side as well. The other argument is, well, we need to tax the wealthier echelons to sort of redistribute wealth. I guess maybe the opposite in what's been done, because the pandemic has really made the poor poorer and the rich richer. And the theory now is, well, let's shave from the top and kind of be able to provide more support, more stimulus. Remember, Kamala Harris is for $2,000 per month in stimulus payments. Now, you know, if they win, they're not going to be in office to do anything until January. They probably need to sweep the House and the Senate to actually do that. And by then, honestly, I just want to be out of this pandemic. I am so sick of this stuff. Okay, so there you have a little bit of the madness. I can't take this anymore. We'll go on to something else. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. We'll see you in the future videos. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.